Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm with a 2023 Nissan Z. This is the all-new Z, completely redone. It's replacing the 370Z. Some people are calling this the 400Z, but Nissan officially just calls it the Nissan Z. It has a lot of great stuff. It is such a beautiful car. This is based very heavily on the Fairlady, or the original 240Z that was a Datsun back in the day. So, wonderful car. I can't say that enough. It's so great. Let's go over it. I'm not even pretending not to be biased here. So to begin with, under the hood here is a 6-cylinder engine. It's a V6, and it's outputting 400 horsepower. That 400 horsepower might sound familiar because it is the same engine that is used in the Infiniti Q60 Red Sport, which is the Red Sport 400, and that engine is beautiful. It's a nice little humming V6 with a very predictable power curve, easy to understand, easy to use to your advantage. Wonderful engine. Also, this has two options for transmission. There is a 6-speed manual transmission, or I believe it's an 8-speed automatic transmission. You can choose either one. It does not change the price tag. How awesome is that? So this in particular is the 6-speed manual because, in my opinion, that is the only way to drive a car like this. But just so you know, there is an automatic option. So it's a rear-driven sports car like the Z has always been. It is a really well-balanced vehicle. I'll go over the design because the design is pretty important, but I just want to kind of give you an overview of what this car is. This is a driver's car. This is not a sports car that you're going to go to the track and win checkered flags. It is not a car that exists purely so that you can put as much torque to the ground as possible at any given time. It's not that sort of car. It's not a Hellcat. It's a true sports car. There are very few of these left. One of the only other ones on the market really is the Toyota 86, the Z4 from BMW that is based on, and of course the Mazda Miata. Those are good examples of what a driver's car is supposed to be. This is definitely one of those. And that was Nissan's goal, and it's always been the goal with the Z series, to be a driver's car, an enjoyable car that happens to have a decent amount of horsepower to make it go. So let's talk about design, because there are tons of elements in this car, including, if you're looking from there, these headlights, that are direct derivatives from the original Fairlady. Nissan did a lot of thinking and work to make that happen. From this small bulge in the hood and the crease down the front, to the shape of the front grille, and in some ways the whole fascia. This lighting, the round, evocative lighting under there, the bodywork itself, especially the shape when we get to the side here and I talk about that, those are all derived directly from the original Fairlady. You'll also see some elements of a few of the other Z cars from the past show up in this, including the gauge cluster that's on the dashboard up here. That's straight out of the 1980s Zs. And then the hatchback as open cockpit, which has been a older Z feature, but not the newer ones. The newer ones have mostly been kind of a roadster style. So the coupe would be like this, the roadster would just have this coming off. So very, very evocative, very wonderfully nostalgic design that really rings well for this current era. That's all I can say. So let's talk about the design some more. So you can see the silhouette is very, very much Fairlady Z. You can, it moves with a saloon style, so it is a saloon style coupe. Long front end, quick roof that fastbacks immediately back to the rear, and then a spoiler back there. Few things that are a lot different. First thing you'll notice are those door handles, the big clamshell door handles. That improves aerodynamics and also gives it more modern style. These are pretty cool. There's an actual keyhole here so that your key fob, you can pop the key out and open it if the battery's dead. The push button here locks and unlocks the doors, and then you pull this to open the doors. Body styling itself, pretty simple, but it doesn't need to be complicated to get the point across. So you can see large rear haunches, simple front fender. So the front fender just kind of rolls. There's a crease that starts right here, right about here, and runs along the bodywork, but otherwise this just rolls down to the wheel. So you don't have a lot of transition from here to here. It's a pretty flat rolling movement. That is so that you'll see this more, which is almost flat. It's kind of at an angle, but almost flat right here, and then sudden bulge. That tells anybody looking, this is a rear-driven sports car. Now this crease that runs along here starts right about here, runs along like this, and goes through that door handle and then disappears. So it stops right before the actual door handle right there. That crease just gives the body some movement. So you see the light shelf that's created up here, which is slightly rounded so it doesn't reflect light exactly the same from every angle. And then a sharp cut going right here, and then it rolls down. Excuse me. That rolling motif is common throughout the entire design of this car, and there's a reason for that. This is meant to look very, very smooth. Smooth is the best word I've come up with to describe this car in every facet. It's very smooth to look at, so it looks like it smoothly moves through the air. It looks like it smoothly drives. The drive feel, the actual drive, is very smooth. The shifting, extremely smooth. All the movements, everything about this car is smooth. And if you have ever heard the mantra, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, that applies very much to this car. So you have just a lot of just smooth body pieces. And then down here at the bottom, there's a fast cut. That's to create that rocker and end that, right? So it stops so that you see where the bottom of the car is. The roof line is smooth. Everything is very well done and very pretty. Now, a couple things to point out just from an aerodynamics perspective. There is a GT style cut in the roof for airflow. That is spoiled by this, which is on purpose. These little things create vortexes. Those vortexes help with the rear suction that's caused by spoilage. This right here isn't flat. So this part of the roof right here, if you look at it very carefully, you can see it tilts slightly up, comes slightly up. That creates a little more air, just like the back of your SUV will have a spoiler like that at the top. It's doing the same thing here. It's creating a little turbulence down this windscreen before it hits this built-in spoiler, and that all of that creates more movement back here, which means less suction. So lots of neat little design elements in this. There's a couple of vortex creators right here on the mirrors, and yeah, just wonderfully well done. Now, driving it, it's very beautiful to drive. It feels really good. Everything is intuitive. The balance is good. It's not 50-50. I can tell you that just by feel. It is not 50-50. I don't know what the actual balance is. Maybe I can look that up and I'll put it on the screen somewhere. But I can tell you it is a little bit front biased. It is a little heavier up there. But because of the rear driven layout, it does put more weight towards the rear, centering that car, which is good. Your fulcrum point is where it should be. You can feel it when you're driving. It's right underneath your butt, right here at the driver. So that's what you want out of any performance car, but especially a car that's meant to make the driver feel good. You want the driver to feel like the center of attention when driving, and this definitely does that. It is a two-seater, of course. There's no 2+2 or any of that. It's never been a thing for any of the Zs. Back here is a cargo area that is okay. I'll try to show you a picture. Right after I'm done right here, I'm actually gonna go do a quick Sam's Club and grocery store run. And so there will be a bunch of stuff in here, and I'll take a photo of that and I'll show you kind of give you an idea of how much can fit in here. I'm surprised at how much will fit, actually, because I've done it already once before this week and neglected to take photos because I'm a slacker. But wonderfully done. Now let's talk about actually, I just talked about the back. I want to show you something back there, then we'll go on the interior. So here at the back of the car, it's worth noting the two exhausts down there. It is a true twin exhaust. It is not a let's split this and make it look like that. So that is part of the performance on this car. The other great thing, if you didn't know this already, is that this is a phenomenally low-cost car. This one that we're looking at right here, as I'm looking at it, is $57,000, and that's with a bunch of extras. So yeah, it is cheap for a sports car. Now, opening the trunk, you have the key fob option. You have a button in there on the center console right behind the shifter that you can pull that will pop this, or you can reach underneath the Nissan logo in the bottom of it and push a button, and there you go. Pistons hold it in place. You don't need to put a rod or anything like you do the front. I'll show you a picture of the engine if you're interested in seeing that. But your cargo area goes to here, and that's it. So it's about the height of my hand from fingertip to there. And it's sloped, so you have more space up there than you do back here. But there is a fair amount of cargo space. It goes all the way up to the middle of the car right here. So you have a lot of cargo space, and then you have a little bit of space behind the seats if you don't have them scooched back all the way. Part of the reason this cargo space is so shallow is because there is a spare tire under there. It's not a full-size spare, but there is a spare tire underneath it. There is an anchor point for a child safety seat to go in that passenger side over there. So if you have to take the kids, there are a couple of, or one kid, it only has 2 seats. There are a couple of swiveling D-hooks you can use to tie down a net or something else if you need to, but pretty basic cargo space because this car is not about hauling stuff. So here's the front seat where all the action is. Steering wheel is well done. It is not a like GT style wheel cut off at the bottom. It is a full steering wheel. There is, this car has 3 pedals. They are nicely spaced. I have pretty big feet. I'm 6'3". I have a little headroom left, 1.5 inches or so, and my feet are fairly large. I wear a size 12, and I don't have much of a problem with my feet pushing 2 pedals at once. I often push a brake and a throttle at the same time in a car. I don't have that problem here. Very smooth clutch. You can feel the brake point if you're looking for it, so when you push you can feel it happening, but most of the time it's subconscious. It's not a extremely positive brake point. It just happens and you can feel it. Pretty forgiving. If you don't shift exactly right, it won't matter. It will still handle it and be just fine. You don't get gear grinding and other things. Shift throw is a little long for what I would prefer, but it's still very good in a car like this, so it feels good to shift and move it. I like the size of the knob. I like the movement structure. It's your basic usual H with 3 sides. And reverse, this takes a minute to realize. You don't just push it over into reverse because that doesn't do any good. It'll just go into 6th gear. You have to push the knob down and then shove it over into reverse. Reverse is on the far right down. So nice for all of that. I really like the feel of it. And again, it's very smooth. Now, something that is very cool to note that I didn't realize until I was driving this on a drive event down in Colorado before I got it here, and I noticed driving this manual version that the downshifts, there's rev matching happening. And I asked about it, and Nissan says it is an electronic rev match. So when you shift, so if you're in, say, let's say I'll just do it manually. So let's say I'm in 3rd gear, and I'm going along, and I decide to downshift. As soon as I pull it out and pull over, go to the left, indicating that I'm going down a gear, a rev match happens, and it boosts the revs in the engine so that the shift is smoother going into that 2nd gear from 3rd. So, and it happens in every one of the gears, which is phenomenally awesome. It doesn't happen when you're in neutral because it doesn't know what you're going to do when you're in neutral, but as soon as you move the knob to go in one direction or the other, then it knows you're going up or down, and if you're going down, it rev matches. It's a wonderful little touch, but it's part of the reason the shifting is so smooth in this car. Beautifully done there. The interior is small because it is a small two-seat car, but I feel fine in it, and I'm a big dude, right? So at 6'3" and way over 200 pounds, I am just fine in this car. It's pretty awesome. So I really like pretty much everything about this car. I have no real beefs other than it only seats two. But that's part of the deal. You buy this car, you're going to be seating two. Couple things to note. Traction control is over here. There is no button that I could find to turn off the radars. But if you're going into, say, a tight parking space, you'll just have to deal with it. But if you go through a car wash and you put it in neutral, the alarms shut off. So now it knows, okay, you must be in a car wash or whatever, and it shuts off all of those perimeter alarms. So nice little touch there. There is a backing camera because that's required by law. And the three gauges that you have up here are your turbo boost is on the left, your turbo speed in RPMs is in the middle, and your battery voltage is on the far right. That's what you've got on those three gauges up there. Decent view through here, but not great. It is kind of a narrow window. Side mirrors are good enough for what you're going to be doing in this car most of the time. So, you know, they're not too small, they're not too large. Lots of nice little touches and just well done on the interior. So I think it's time to wrap this up. So that, my friends, is the all-new 2023 Nissan Z. This is one of the cars that I've been looking forward to more than any other coming up. I was so excited when they said that they were going to do it. I was even more excited when I finally saw it, and then even more excited when I finally drove it. So history with me in this car. I have never owned a Z. Honestly, the originals, the Fairladies, were the only ones I would have considered. The ones after that, from there to now, really didn't appeal to me. I didn't have a whole lot of appeal, but first time I ever drove on a racetrack was in a 370Z. So there you go, that was pretty cool. And I had a semi-professional with me who showed me the ropes of driving that track and was an expert with that particular car. Then when I first saw this car, it was when it was announced, and then I saw the prototype at I believe it was Chicago Auto Show, and then I saw the production prototype, which is this same thing. This is actually a production prototype. They go into production this month, actually. So as of October or September, they are starting production on these. This particular pre-production production prototype was at a drive event, but right before that I saw a very similar one that I don't think was the same, but could have been, that didn't have a quite finished dash. Some of the dash wasn't there yet. That car was at ZCon last year down in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I saw it there. I got me time with the car to take photos and do a lot of stuff. Couldn't drive it, but I did a lot of just me with the car taking photos, and talked to some people, and then got to see the reaction from Z enthusiasts when this rolled out of that garage it was in that I was doing photos, and they got to see it for the first time, and the reaction was phenomenal. Then we went out and I watched it with the designer, the lead designer, watched it go out and do lead victory laps around the big track down there, and it was just wonderful. It was so much fun. It was so cool. Then I went down to Boulder, Colorado, and I got to drive it. This particular car was one of the two that I drove. The other one was red and had a automatic transmission. I drove both of those, took them through the mountains a little bit, felt them out, and that's when I really fell in love with this car. I loved the design already. Then I drove it, and I just absolutely fell in love with the thing. If I wasn't a dad with 3 kids and responsibilities, I would probably buy one. There you go. So, now I've had it for almost a week. They come and get it in a couple days. I've been driving it a lot, just whenever I can because I can, and having a ton of fun in this car. Get lots of compliments on the looks, which is cool. I had a lot of people ask me what it is because the Nissan logo doesn't seem to give it away to them. And then I've had Z enthusiasts who've just gone bonkers when they see this. Everything about this car is a like for me. It's not going to be for everyone, but I believe it is by far the best Z that's come out so far. So I would very much compare this to the original Fairlady, which I have yet to actually get to drive in an original format. I've driven it one time, but it was not an original car. They had changed out the engine, a bunch of stuff. I would love to drive an original, but good luck making that happen because those are going for like $100,000 now. So yeah, good luck. But this is definitely, at least in style and looks to me, is very much that car. So very cool. Love this car. Had a great time with it. And very, very, yeah, it's very awesome. So 2023 Nissan Z. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon. Subscribe.